Here's an idea for you. Why don't you stop thinking of what to make and just start stealing it instead? Take it from The Artist's Bible, Steal Like an Artist by Austin Kleon, and today I'm going to be talking about 3 tips from this book which I personally like that have helped me on my journey as both a creative and an artist. And the first tip is, don't wait to know who you are, discover yourself through the process. As Kleon adds in the book, the human hand is incapable of making a perfect copy. This idea was also something that was confirmed in a deep dive podcast with Ali Abdaal when he was interviewing author Brian Sanderson. Brian says, "We remix stuff. That's just what we do. Nothing needs to be original, just mix enough stuff that it becomes new. 2 people cannot make the same concept." This is important as well because I think a lot of people have this notion that if you steal from an artist, that you're basically just ripping them off. And of course there is a difference between ripping off an artist and learning from them by copying their art. And I think the main difference is, as Kleon says, you shouldn't just steal the style, you should steal the thinking behind that style, because it's this thinking that's applied across all the different art forms that you do, not just this one painting or this one piece of artwork. Another important thing to note is that you should steal from multiple sources and not just one, so that you're not just ripping off from one single artist, because it's this combination of different styles and different artists that you expose yourself to combined with your own life experience that kind of merges together to help you form your idea of what your art form can look like. In order to be able to do all of this, it brings me on to the second tip, which is side projects and hobbies are important. I'm such a big advocate for this personally because I have 2 words for you, and that is productive procrastination, which is exactly how Kleon starts this chapter. This is something that I personally am really invested in because growing up I've always had like projects or side hobbies and things that I've always dipped my toes into, and I think this is really important, especially as a creative, because you kind of need all of this stimulation and you get bored really easily, so it's nice to be able to jump between different projects. Having said that, it can be a bit confusing because maybe you think that your projects or your hobbies may not overlap. For example, maybe you like cooking, but maybe you also like painting, but you also like playing the guitar, and you kind of think, oh, okay, what's the combination between these? What is the link between these? This is something that I personally struggled with a lot, especially with Instagram, because Instagram is the kind of platform that rewards creators with just one aesthetic or one style. And so I've always wondered, like, okay, what's that one medium that I'm going to use on Instagram? And because of that, it's really hindered my work, because a lot of the time I've just been really distracted by, okay, what should I post? Like, what medium should I post in? It actually came to the point where it just distracted me from my work. So this point actually really helps me to understand that it's completely okay and also completely normal as an artist to do multiple things and work in multiple mediums. You know, this whole Instagram idea of one aesthetic is actually kind of a false notion, because throughout your life, you're going to be interested in a lot of different things, and that's okay, that's completely normal. The one thing that's actually linking all of these things together, all of your multiple interests, is you, and that's completely enough, and eventually you'll get to a point where you will find the link between everything, even if it is just you. And the final tip, again, which I'm a big advocate for, is to share your work. Personally, I've never really had an issue with sharing my work online, but in speaking to a lot of different people, I know that this is a big issue that a lot of creatives face, and I feel like the fear that people have kind of falls into 2 categories. The first one of which is, oh my god, what are people gonna think when they see my work online? And I have news for you, no one cares. Like, literally no one cares, especially when you're starting out. And this is actually something that's really great because it just takes the pressure off of you, right? Like, no one cares about your work as much as you do, especially in the early days. And if anyone does care, it means that they're actively going out of their way to search for your work, because you're not anyone who's known, you know, you're not someone who's going to come up on the Explore feed or the YouTube page. What's it called? I should know what the page is called. The YouTube watch page thingy, you know, like the recommendations when it comes up. I should know the name of it. Terrible, I know. If there is anyone who finds your work online, like I said, they will have actively searched for it, and because of that, that means that they'll likely give you positive comments. In fact, it's pretty rare that you would get hate comments early on in your creator journey when you're sharing online. And if there are people who come up to you and give you comments or, you know, criticisms or anything like that, it's just one of those things that you kind of have to learn to deal with, and it's a great learning experience and growth process, because you're kind of, with each negative comment you're learning, am I someone who's actually proud of my work, so I don't really care what haters say, or am I someone who is going to take this on board and is going to see this as constructive criticism? This is also where it's really important to have your own support systems and people who will kind of counterbalance that negative energy if you've been getting too much of it. Moving on to the second fear that people generally have, or the second camp that people fall into, and this is the fear that I normally have, which is, no one's going to see my work, so what's the point of me sharing it online? In this regard, Cleon has a phrase which he uses which I really like, which is, enjoy your obscurity while it lasts, use it. Actually, this is a phrase I relate to more and more because as I continue to share my work online, obviously I'm very grateful for the increasing subscriber counts, the increasing views counts, but it's also more pressure, when the numbers keep increasing, because you realize that there's more people watching you, there's more, it's more like social pressure. So in a way, it's really nice to have your obscurity because you can kind of do what you want, no one's going to tell you anything, there's not going to be any comments or any chance of comments. Growth and recognition online is a continual journey and a process. Even people who have like 5 million subscribers are still thinking about how to increase their reach and things like that. What I'm learning is that you should just come to enjoy the process. Enjoy every milestone. Don't look forward, don't look back. Just keep enjoying where you are. And that's a life philosophy for anything that you're going through, any journey that you're going through. There are obviously way more tips in this book. It is a pretty short and sweet read. Definitely not text heavy. Lots of pictures, lots of diagrams. It's a really fun book to read, really good to have on your bookshelf, not at all expensive. So I would highly recommend you pick it up. There's also 2 other books in this series, but this is definitely my favorite one. If you want to stick around more on this channel, you can click on this video, wherever it may be, on why you should continue to make art well into your 20s and beyond. And with that, I will see you at some point for another video. I really wanted to stick to the weekly schedule, but life happens, and so now I'm just lucky if I can make at least 2 videos a month. So let's see where this goes. Alright, I will see you next time. Bye!